Hi, we're back. So previously we safely isolated this piece of equipment and we disconnected it using the safe isolation and disconnection procedure. Now we're going to talk about reconnecting. Now bear in mind, you may be coming back to reconnect after a period of time. It could have been a week or a month, it could be that same day. So we're going to go through the reconnection procedure. The first things first, once your equipment has been repaired or replaced with a new one, the very first thing we've got to do is confirm earth continuity and insulation resistance. So, first things first, I'll set here's my IR tester. I've set it on the ohms setting. And the first thing I want to do is test my meter. So I put the leads together and I can now zero it. You can see here I've got a battery symbol flashing. At this point, this will be where you stopped what you were doing and you've got to get a nice fresh battery in your meter. But just for the purposes of this, we'll carry on. I'll just try that again. Okay, 0.16. So there's my earth, and I'm confirming that I've got earth continuity from the earth terminal here. And there we go, less than an ohm. I'll try down here. Yeah. Pretty good, I'm happy with that. So I've got earth continuity. The next thing I want to establish is that I've got good insulation resistance. So I know that the earth terminal is connected to the body of my equipment. I also now want to verify that the active will not come into contact with neutral or earth. The active is adequately insulated from this body. Because this is a 230 volts piece of equipment, I'm going to set my IR tester on 500 volts. We go roughly double. So 500 volts DC, and I'm going to go active to earth, hit the test button, and there we go. I'm getting 453 mega ohms. We need to be greater than 1 mega ohm for continuity, so that works. Then I'll go test it for neutral to earth, and we've got 431 mega ohms between neutral and earth. I don't need to test between active and neutral because that's the load. Okay, now that I know my appliance is safe to connect, I know that I've got good earth continuity and good insulation resistance, I can now go through the procedure of reinstalling my supply to it. So I'll come back, I'll bring my box back, open up my junction box or weatherproof box, and I want to confirm that it's still dead. I can see there that my lock and tag's still on, but just because I want to know that I'm 100% safe, I'll put my voltmeter and test my tester, showing me 20 volts on my known supply, so I know my tester's working. In the real world, that would have been 230 volts. And there we go. 0 volts active to neutral. 0 volts active to earth. I'll test my tester again just to confirm the tester's good. And there we can see I've got a supply. Like I say, in the real world, that would be your 230 volts. Turn the meter off, save the battery, and now I can disconnect my cable from the box. and open up my gland. And I can take the danger tag off now, and I can reinstate this. What I would probably, in the real world, what I'd really want to do is, you can see these are well used now, so we'd have to re-terminate these. With some pliers. So with your pliers, twist these ends up, don't use your fingers, use some pliers. And then I can take my photograph or my connection diagram. Again, what you want to do is reconnect Earth first. See, I nearly forgot that bit. The right screwdriver, also very useful. Reconnect your Earth. The appliance is now effectively earthed. Then you can go neutral. So reconnecting in the exact opposite order of how you disconnect, because we always leave the earth on till last when we disconnect, and it goes on first when we reconnect. Touch the active. All right, these connections are well worn. You don't really want to see any copper hanging out the bottom of these connections, and that's her back reconnected. The next thing we need to do is we need to confirm that we actually do have earth continuity. So we can take our ohm meter. Let's get that zeroed. One thing we can do is you can actually test between neutral and earth, and if the MEN link if there's an MEN link in place, you will get a reading of less than 1 ohm at the ohm meter. Unfortunately, if there is an RCD in place and an RCD is switched off, it will break that link, so you won't get a reading. If that happens, the next thing you can do is test. You will need to test from the main earth to the earth. In this case, here's my earth stake. This would be buried into the ground up until about here, and you'll see this piece sticking out. You would probably need to get a knife or some wire wool or something, or a file. Clean the copper off to be able to get a connection. And if you test then from the earth to earth, there we go. 0.1, 0.08 of an ohm. That's good earth continuity. Of course, in the real world, your earth stake won't be conveniently next to your connection. You will probably need to run out a trailing lead. So if I put the body of my cable next to where my connection is, with the other end of the cable, far end of the cable, again, I would need to clean this rod up, and I wouldn't recommend just wrapping it round. You'd probably want some kind of bulldog clamp or something like that on it to get a nice tight connection, because if you don't get a tight connection, you won't get a good reading, a good enough earth reading. And then I can test then from my trailing lead cable end up to earth, and there we go. You can see I'm still getting less than 1 ohm, 0.35. That's a good earth. Anything less than 0.5 of an ohm is 0.5 ohms is a good earth. I'm now happy that this piece of equipment is earthed. Okay, so I can take my trailing lead off now. It's now time to reinstate the, oh no, I'll leave the cover off. Yep. It's now time to reinstate the supply. So I've had the key to this lock the whole time, only I can take this off. I can now remove my lock. Take off the lock dog, remove the lock dog. You can see this is becoming a little bit worn on the breaker there, hence why it wasn't so as tight as we'd have liked it. I've now reinstated the supply because I want to now confirm that I've got voltage here. There we go, 20 volts. I've got my voltage. Place the cover, and what you would now do is switch on the equipment and stand and watch it work for a few minutes, verify that everything's all good, and bring in your customer and show them the equipment's working well. It is also now is the time, once you've finished your job, you then need to do your certificate of your testing and safety certificate to verify that you've done an earth and insulation resistance test. Job done. That is the complete procedure from isolation to disconnect to reconnect.